Is 2021 the time for Coach Mack Brown and the Tar Heels? Can they win the division? Can they get past Clemson or whoever comes out on top? Most likely going to be Clemson. Can they do what they have been trying to do for the past few years? Get further than just the ACC. Let's see what they can do. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with my North Carolina preview video for 2021. Hey, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you're new. We yesterday hit 400 subscribers, and I'm thankful for all 400 of you out there. Even if you're a troll account, what the heck, I appreciate you. I love each and every one of you guys. Now we're on our way to 500. Let's just keep building Ballard Sports Media. It's not just myself. A lot of people to thank. TikTok Chess Hall, Uncle Lou, BVD, Nate the Great. And I could go on and on. You know who you are. I love each and every one of you. And I appreciate all the love and support. And I hope you guys keep it coming. But anyway, that being said, let's get back at the topic of conversation that we have for today. Looking at North Carolina in 2020, last year 8-4 overall. They played overall 12 games, but I think the ACC had 11 in total. So North Carolina played 11 games on the schedule. I think 10 ACC games. Plus like an out-of-conference team. It wasn't exactly conference only in the ACC like it was in every other conference. They opened up with Syracuse, and they won that game 31-6. The next week after that, they had the Charlotte 49ers come into Chapel Hill, but that was canceled, actually. So that was a canceled game. Then they got a bye week, so they kind of had 2 off weeks there. And then they went to Boston College, won by 4 points. Then they beat Virginia Tech at home. Then they took a rough loss to the Seminoles last year in Mike Norvell's first year as a head coach. Second, actually, it might have been second. I know Mike Norvell's recently hired, but either way, they took a loss to the Seminoles at Doak Campbell. They beat their in-state rival in NC State. They lost at Virginia. They beat teams like Duke and Wake Forest, which thank goodness North Carolina got that. They took a bye week. Then they they took a loss to Notre Dame, which we know how good Notre Dame was last year. They pushed for that 4th spot to play by Crimson Tide in the Rose Bowl last season. Then they beat teams like Western Carolina. They had a good road win at Miami to close the regular season, and they made the Orange Bowl. That's a New Year's Six bowl, and ultimately lost to A&M, 41-27. So in 2020, 8-4 overall, 7-3 in the ACC, and lost the bowl game to A&M. Sam Howell, the losses were close, and Sam Howell, who will come back this next season, is going to be, in my opinion, and from what I'm hearing too, I do think he will be one of the top guys in the draft next year. I think he's got a good arm. He's got some kinks to work out. But, still, I mean, look, what they lost last year, they just struggled to pull out close games on the road against teams that they should have beat, and there were obviously some losses that they should not have taken. They should have outright, I don't want to say blow them out, but they should have just beat them. Just beat them. But they took those losses. It is what it is. Put it behind you. Really what put North Carolina, if you go back a few years, how is North Carolina all of a sudden a talking point in college football? Well, Mack Brown does recruit very, very well. He's not really top 10, but maybe, at least top 20, somewhere in there. He's working on it. Top 30 recruiting, which even that is still pretty good, even for a team like North Carolina. They're somewhere at least in the top 50, right? And they've had some good players. But go back to 2019, that season, with LSU. But they had a regular season game. It was very close. I think it was like 21-20. And it came down to the wire against Clemson, right? You would have thought Clemson would have gone in there and blew them out, right? Trevor Lawrence and everybody was clicking, but North Carolina made it a game, and it only came down to a missed 2-point conversion for the Tar Heels that really helped Clemson win that game. Plus, like I mentioned, it looks like things are going in the right direction with recruiting. So I mean, yeah, North Carolina's kind of on the spotlight right now, and obviously knows how to be ranked. They know how to compete. Are they right there with Clemson in the ACC? There's some talk, but I don't think they're quite on that level, regardless of maybe how that game went a few years ago. I still think recruiting, talent, and just win percentage and everything like that wise in the ACC with Clemson. I still think the ACC is Clemson and everybody else. I still believe that. Uh, but if you want to talk about teams that are working their way up the ladder behind Clemson, I think the Tar Heels are definitely that kind of team. Looking at it though, what can we expect in 2021? Sam Howell, again, a top quarterback in next year's draft class. He leads a pretty good offense. They really only lost one or two key players. Javonte Williams went number 35 overall in the draft this past year, or I guess this year, 2021. Went to the Broncos at 35 overall. There was another running back, Michael Carter, who went 107 overall to the Jets in the fourth round. A couple key guys like that they got to replace and look out for. Just go ahead and recap last year. We'll get into 2021. They opened with a good win, 31-6 over Syracuse. Then they had a game canceled against the Charlotte 49ers. They get a bye week, so they kind of miss back-to-back weeks there. They take a bye week September 26th. They beat Boston College, beat Virginia Tech, lose to Florida State, beat NC State, lose to Virginia, beat Duke and Wake Forest, take a bye week, lose to Notre Dame, beat Western Carolina, beat Miami, and then, of course, the Capital One Orange Bowl, they lost to A&M. That being said, let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand with the 2021 schedule, and I think it's favorable. I really do. Now, it's kind of tough to open up on a Friday night against the Virginia Tech Hokies, especially in Blacksburg. A road game right out the gate for North Carolina. Then you play teams like Georgia State at home. Okay. Ask Tennessee about them. I don't know what to say. Um, play Virginia at home. Go to Georgia Tech. Play Duke. Play Florida State. Play Miami. Circle that game on your calendar. That could be very good by the midway point of the season. Then they take a bye week. Perfect timing because you got to go to Notre Dame to play the Fighting Irish. That'll be a primetime matchup on October 30th. Then your homecoming game against Wake Forest. Then you go to Pittsburgh, play Wofford at home, and play your rival on the road at NC State. Overall, I guess it's favorable. The ACC, I know in recent years we've talked about how Clemson doesn't play anybody. They don't have anybody in the conference, but you look at teams like North Carolina and Miami, in recruiting and everything, and they're stepping it up. And now it seems like, from what I'm hearing about a team like Florida State, who used to be the cream of the crop, it used to be Clemson and Florida State for the longest time, or Florida State Miami, and Florida State was right there. They won a championship in like the past recent decade, this millennium. They seem to have it going pretty well. Mike Norvell seems to be the guy from what I'm hearing. They got a good quarterback in McKenzie Milton. I'll get to Florida State later on at some other day, but yes, it's still Clemson and everybody else, but I mean, there's still some teams outside that you look at and say, okay, they got to be in the conversation for tier 2 in the ACC, right? And I think North Carolina is definitely one of those teams. So we mentioned Sam Howell. He's a top QB in next year's draft class. Good offense. Lost a few players. Not much. Um, Overall, I think a very favorable schedule. And speaking of Florida State, I see 3 games that could be trap games. That could push them to the brink. That either they could lose or it'll be a struggle close win, right? At Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, that's a pretty tough stadium. And if we're filling crowds up and filling up the seats, that could get pretty loud. That could be interesting. Virginia Tech is really good, at least at home. Florida State is at home for North Carolina, but what will they look like with Mike Norvell? We will see. And I also put Pittsburgh as a trap game because they're just one of those teams in the ACC. They're actually the team in college football that I struggle to remember who it is. But there's that one team that I hear so much about that, like, oh, they're that team that always beats a team every year they're not supposed to beat. That's Pittsburgh. Could that be the North Carolina game? Maybe. I don't know what Pittsburgh full schedule looks like, but if they're gonna win a game they're not supposed to win, and pull an upset, it could be against Mac Brown and the Tar Heels. So at Virginia Tech, against Florida State at home, and at Pittsburgh, 3 potential trap games. I don't see your rival at NC State as a trap game. They seem like a pretty interesting team. Like early on in like 2018 or 2020, or no, not last year, but like a few years ago, they were ranked in the top 25, and game day was there. Clemson went there. We expected it to maybe be a pretty good game. It wasn't. It was straight up a blowout. But again, real quick rundown of the schedule: at Virginia Tech, Georgia State, Virginia at Georgia Tech, Duke at home. You got Florida State, then you got Miami. Perfect timing for a bye week. You go to Notre Dame. You play Wake Forest at Pitt, Wofford at NC State. Overall, I think it's very favorable. And quite honestly, I could see them running the table. And I think you're better than Florida State. You're better than teams like Georgia State and Virginia and Georgia Tech. Could be a trap game week 1, but I think they get that taken care of. Overall, I see a 10-2 record for the Tar Heels in 2021, and it's actually going to be pretty interesting because when I looked at Miami too, I just think they're going to be a better team than North Carolina. And I think the Tar Heels close game in Chapel Hill. I think Miami could get a road win there. So I think they lose to Miami, then they'll take a bye week. But the fact that you have to go to Notre Dame, that's pretty tough. And I do think Notre Dame is a better team than North Carolina. I know Notre Dame seems to be one of those overhyped, overrated type of teams. But let's be honest, they have had a little bit more success in college football. They're always in some New Year's Six Bowl or something, or they sneak their way into the playoffs. And, they just have something about them, I think, that just gives them an edge over the Tar Heels. And especially the fact that you're going to Notre Dame Stadium, in Notre Dame. That's just, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough. And again, I mentioned the crowds. I mean, you imagine going to play at that place. It'd take a lot of guts to not necessarily go play there, but pull out a win. So overall, 10-2 for the Tar Heels. Trap games could be at Virginia Tech, against Florida State, and at Pitt. I think they beat those 3 teams though, but I think they dropped Miami and they dropped Notre Dame, and I think there's not really going to be much of a jump for North Carolina in 2021 with Mac Brown. Anyways, guys, hey, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm not trying to give North Carolina a bunch of crap or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're a lot better than I think they are, and instead of 10-2, they go 11-1, or maybe run the table 12-0, and they do beat Miami and at Notre Dame. Or maybe, possibly, they have that same record, but maybe they take one of those two losses to a team like Pitt or Virginia Tech. I don't know. But you guys comment down below what you think the Tar Heels will do this year. Do you agree with my record prediction? Do you agree with it? Do you think that maybe I got the losses wrong that they could take? I don't know, but I want to hear from you guys. I'm not giving North Carolina a bunch of crap. I do think they're a great program. I think they're going in the right direction. They got the talent. I just, I think Miami's just going to be that kind of team this year with a lot of motivation. Miami is favorable this year with their schedule outside of maybe the Alabama game and this North Carolina game. But if I'm picking, I did Miami last week. Who you taking? Do they either beat North Carolina on the road, or do they go into Atlanta week 1 and beat Alabama? And that's not me being biased. I mean, we're talking about Alabama here, just straight up. Miami seems like a tier 2 team. Bama's on a tier 1 type of list, and I think maybe even North Carolina could be tier 2 alongside Miami. I don't know, but of these, if you replaced Notre Dame or Miami, one of those two, with a cupcake, FCS type of team, and you only play one of those, you're 11-1. But at Notre Dame's tough, and of course Miami. No matter where you play, Miami's just going to be that good. I think they're going to have a really elite defense this year, and but anyways, 10-2 overall for the Tar Heels in 2021. My prediction, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments section below. Comment down below what you think North Carolina will do this year, and we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in today. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks again for 400 subs. I really do appreciate it. I love each and every one of you. And that's pretty much it. Like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. Keep your head up. Jesus loves you. I love you guys. God bless. And roll tide roll. Ballard Sports Media. Check it out. Y'all have a good one. Woo!